Hello YouTube. Alright, here we're looking at my home theater PC. It's got the Athlon 2X3 in there. It's got a GeForce 210, so I have an HDMI port, and it's got a wireless card. Power supply is missing because I took this piece of junk out. This is an Antec Basic 350 watt power supply. It's a BP 350. It was given to me by Grateful 42 because, well, the Dell he had one of those proprietary ATX connectors, so this particular power supply didn't work with that machine properly. I saw a rather recent video by a Cube Computer channel showing a failed one of these out of some machine. I think it was actually a replacement in some OEM machine. I forget what it was. I can't quite remember. I'd have to go back and look at the video. But he opened up one of these, and when I opened this up and looked at it before, I wasn't really knowledgeable about what are good and what are bad caps. I mean, I knew what they were, but I didn't really know specific, models and brands and all that fun stuff all that well. Now I do. So here's the first problem that I don't like. 12-volt rails on this power supply are a little bit small. I'm not running a whole lot in this computer. I mean, it's just a tri-core 95-watt processor at a really, really crippled graphics card, but, still, though, this is, like Cube Computer Channel said, it's more like a 250-watt power supply than a 350-watt one like it claims. And the main reason I'm replacing this is not because of caps that have gone bad. In fact, this power supply works perfectly fine. But there is a really stupid design that I never noticed when looking in here before that is definitely notable. Let's take a look at that. Okay, I've taken this thing apart, and as you can see, it's a pretty nicely built power supply. I mean, it has all this filtering. It has all the filtering it needs right there. 2 capacitors, a bridge rectifier in a package, a couple Y capacitors, and there's an X capacitor on the AC line there for even more filtering. So it has really good filtering. What are these caps? They're 470 microfarad, 200-volt caps. OST capacitors, so they're probably pretty generic. The rest of these are TPO and Capzon, and TPO capacitors suck. But all the caps in here are just fine, as you can see. They're all perfect. And even that one down there under that heatsink is the one that failed in Cube Computer Channel's video. Now you can kind of see why it failed in his video. You see this heatsink here. It's basically hugging that capacitor, and if that heatsink gets too hot, it exposes quite a bit of heat to that capacitor. Now I'm sure it's 105C rated, but who knows how hot that thing gets. Yeah, it's a 105C rated capacitor. Anyway, yeah, that cap there is a major design flaw in this board, and that's the main reason that I'm taking this power supply out of service on this particular machine, because that design flaw itself just bothers me. That shouldn't happen. And as Cube Computer Channel noted on his video as well, this is more like a 250-watt power supply than it is a 350-watt. And in a system like this, with a tri-core processor and even a low-power graphics card, I want a little bit more power than that. So this thing's getting replaced. Now, I would replace it with this Corsair CX430 I have lying around, because these are actually built pretty well. But the problem is that this one has major coil whine, and I've actually had this thing just shut off randomly at least once before. So this thing has got some problems. I bet it's starting to develop bad caps, or at least has one from the factory. But as you can see, it has much better 12-volt rails. It has one 12-volt rail, unlike this one, which has 2 12-volt rails on a 350-watt. That doesn't make any sense at all. This is a 430-watt, and it has 28 amps on one 12-volt rail, which is a much better design. Unfortunately, the shortcoming of this one is that it has either capacitor whine or coil whine, but I'm pretty convinced it's coil whine at this point. But I can't tell for sure. This one is full of Samsung capacitors, so I don't know how good those are. They're generic. they're pretty darn generic, so who knows. I can't see any bad caps in there. They all look pretty good to me, at least the ones that I could see. So there you have it. This one has good protection circuitry in it, though. That's why I still have it. So what do you do when you're faced with two pieces of junk and you don't want to use them? You use a mammoth like this big old Akbel power supply. These are awesome, awesome, awesome power supplies. So I'm going to stick one of these in there. There you have it. This one looks like it's been bashed around a little bit. But yes, this is another one of those Akbel power supplies. There you go. Date code suggests it's the 42nd week of 2005. So these are the voltage rails on there, and all of them are pretty high, except for the 8 amp one there. But whatever, man. So I'm going to use this big boy in here. Look at all that. So this one, these have double-decker circuit boards built with very, very, very nice, not very nice components actually. The capacitors aren't the best, but these coils and the build quality definitely is up to snuff with what it should be. These are commercial grade power supplies, so it's kind of a no-brainer to use these as opposed to, cheap consumer junk like this piece of crap. This power supply fits like a glove in this system. Where have I heard that before? Anyway, aside from stealing phrases from people, this power supply has an 8-pin CPU connector that does not separate. And this ASRock motherboard happens to have an 8-pin connector on it, so that makes it very convenient. I don't need to buy an adapter just to hook it up the way it should be. So I can just... Sorry for this terrible camera work, but I'm fumbling with cables here. I could just stick it right in there, and it's all good. However, I gotta get cables out of the way of this stupid fan, so... do the lazy method and stuff them out of the way. Got 2 SATA connections there. That's all I need. Since I've got this 80 gig Hitachi drive down here, which is a loud and slow old thing, but it works. So I still use it. Get in there. And then all I have to do is hook up the DVD drive. And that's it. Pretty simple. There's no power connections for this graphics card because it's so crippled and useless. And that's exactly why I use it for the HDMI port. All I need it to do is display videos. Hopefully this fan doesn't go bad anytime soon. But other than that, woohoo! Let me just stuff some of these cables out of the way and we'll get to trying out this power supply. I haven't actually tested this power supply yet, but I'm pretty sure it works. These Akbels are built like tanks. Alright, I got those cables out of the way. It's still a bit of a mess up there, but it's pretty clean down here. It's just lots of open space. So I snaked the SATA power behind the IDE cable there. The IDE cable looks like a total wreck, but who cares? Whatever, man. Anyhow, there we go. Let's turn this thing on and test it out. Okay, let's try this out. Wow, that's a loud fan. I hope I can get to the BIOS and fix that. Why is nothing happening? Well, that was irritating. the CPU wasn't all the way in its socket, so I fixed that and put a different heatsink on because that heatsink that was on there was just too plain loud. So, yeah, it boots now. So I'll go set it up again. Okay, now that I've fixed that problem, let's boot this thing up again. Where's the beep I'm looking for? Oh, there we go. Sweet. Power supply is nice and quiet, although I've noticed these Akbel power supply fans have a very soft whine to them that's... It's not that annoying, but, you know, you notice it. Listen to that hard drive. Little Hitachi drive. But yeah, this computer appears to work. Yep, it works. There we go. That's a power supply upgrade for this machine. Hope you enjoyed this spur-of-the-moment video. And, yeah, that's a power supply upgrade for this machine after I found out what a piece of junk I was using in there. So, there you have it, guys. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.